Three men and a multiverse of sci-fi's finest spacecraft, but which ones can claim to be the greatest ships ever? Welcome to Space Doc Jury.
Hello and welcome to Space Doc Jury, episode 0. I'm Lee.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Peter.
And we are here with the very first ever test flight of this Space Doc Jury podcast thing.
The brakes don't work.
Shit, I cannot give it any more, Captain. The podcast is going to be just geeking out about spaceships. And this week, we are going to review 3, in inverted commas, classic spaceships. I'm bringing Thunderbird 3.
I'm flying the X-Bomber.
And I have an Omega-class destroyer.
Cool.
He's just pleased to see me.
Yes, spinny sections of doom.
Nah, spinny sections. What do you know about spinny sections?
What we do is we take the best and brightest spaceships from all the multiverse, all the different TV shows and comics and books and video games and whatever you like, and we pitch them against one another to see what is the best and worthy of inclusion on our hallowed top 10.
Yes, hallowed spaceship cool wall, if you will.
We in no way have stolen this from Top Gear.
Absolutely not.
No.
No.
I mean, it's not like it's 3 blokes sort of thing, you know,
Three
geeking out over stuff they're passionate about.
3 old gits talking about vastly advanced engineering they have no concept of.
Exactly.
I've not had my dinner yet. Keep quiet. Hurry up. Try punch somebody.
So, so we have a number of criteria, but the main ones are that our ships that are included must be able to travel by themselves between celestial bodies.
Between planets.
Planets.
So moons don't count.
No, if you can go from Moonbase Alpha down to the nearest planet, you ain't getting anywhere. If an eagle can go to another planet from the moon, we can argue that, but...
And we will.
Yeah, and we more than likely will. But, but generally speaking, if you can go from one planet to another, it's included.
Yes.
The next thing, it needs a pilot. It needs, if it's an organic ship or an inorganic ship, but it needs a pilot. It needs crew. Mm-hmm. So that needs to be a part of it. What's the other one?
Someone needs to hold the stick.
Yeah, someone needs to hold the stick and guide it. If it's just a living thing, it's a space whale. It's not really a spaceship. It needs a pilot.
It's one of those crappy, great big jellyfish things out of Star Trek. We don't want that.
Oh yeah, or one of those. Was it the long road walkers or whatever they are? The things at Sigma 959 in Babylon.
Oh yeah,
5.
the first ones.
Well,
some of the first ones. Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't want any of that. And what's the other criteria? I'm losing the thread now.
Honestly, I can't remember. I was going to say nothing. There is no third thing.
Yeah,
there needs to be a third rule. We need to develop a third rule.
Yeah, we do
somehow.
need to do. I mean,
don't get them wet. Was that it?
Yeah, don't feed them after midnight. Yeah.
No, because if you do that, you're kind of discounting the Enterprise, since that can apparently operate on.
Oh, don't take me there. No.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yes.
Back on course.
So back on course. So what's going to happen is every week each one of us will bring a spaceship to the table. Only 2 will make it onto the wall at any one time. So we all, 3 may enter, 2 may leave, and so basically what we will do is we will argue the toss. And we will also present you with some information about the spaceship at hand. Now, it's not always going to be that comprehensive, I'll be honest with you. But, you know...
Yes, I mean, there's quite a lot written about the aforementioned Millennium Falcon.
Yes.
But when you start getting into the minutiae of something like Thunderbird 3, for example, that's a bit harder to find.
Yes. Ironically enough, one of my ships for this week. But, so you know, we'll try and present you with a little bit of information. Some of it, the how it was made, the real stuff, the behind-the-scenes stuff. And then, of course, there's the in-universe history as well. And we'll try and do as much of that as we can. And we'll probably anger a number of people who are more hardcore fanatics on certain subjects than us.
Yes, let the hate flow through you.
Good. Now, we are going to rate these ships based on a rough criteria, which may evolve over time.
This is scientifically proven. We have spent many an afternoon's
Years.
hub discussing this.
So, basically, we're going to talk about firepower, speed, size, coolness, and distinctiveness, which are, fairly close together, but, distinctive enough. And realization, which is basically how well did the people in the program pull this thing off. So, was the measurement for firepower? I think firepower was from nothing to right up to 10, which was Death Star.
Basically, if you can destroy a planet with a single shot, you're pulling in a 10.
You're pulling
because anything more than that is just it's silly.
It's just showing off.
Yes, it's just showing off. Yes. So your Death Star, that's a 10.
Yeah. Speed is obviously you're trundling for months and end in a straight line, Nostromo, and then which is a 0, or a 1.
A 1, I think.
I'd say that's
actually
1.
move.
Yeah.
0's not moving at all, and then
that'd be a space station.
Yeah, and then
which would be silly.
And then ineligible.
And then 10 is kind of like your crazy ass one of a kind. No, well, I say you're one of a kind Federation ships that do warp 10 and can be in all places at all times instantly.
Oh, and the crew turn into newts and mate. No,
Yes.
we don't want to go there.
Yeah, exactly. But no one wants to go
I'd say
to 10.
instantaneous transport across, should we say, galactic distances.
Yep.
If you can get from one side of a galaxy to the other like
In
that, you're pulling in a 10.
Yeah, TARDIS basically.
Yeah, basically. It
Science.
can actually arrive before it left.
Yeah, exactly. It went to bed before it went to sleep before it got up, but it got up before it went to sleep. Anyway, size. Well, of course, we go from one-man pods, which is a 1, to I can't even see the edge of this thing. Death Star again, which is a 10. And
Yeah, it's those Eve ships, which, if you're flying along, it will take you about a week to just fly along the length of them.
Yeah, or an Ian M. Banks culture ship.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of a 10. Coolness, well, that's subjective. Distinctiveness, same thing. And realization, obviously, if it looks like it's been made out of tissue paper held on a lolly stick, that's a 1. And then CGI, top of the line, ILM's spent $1 trillion making it, that's a 10. I think
Yes.
we'll agree.
So those last 3 are where we're going to have the informed debate.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, wait, you can't see finger quotes, can you? There was finger quotes over those.
No, I heard the finger quotes. I heard that finger quotes. Right, just fine. Thanks very much. So, with that in mind, let's get Thunderbird 3 on the docket. So, let me tell you about Thunderbird 3. Well, firstly, it was designed by Derek Meddings, who designed all of the Thunderbirds ships. His design was based off of the Saturn V rocket. He was told by Jerry Anderson, modernise the Saturn V rocket, and that's exactly what he did. There's not a lot else to be said about the design of it because there's not a lot of information from Meddings specifically on it, other than the fact that because it was the fastest of the Thunderbirds, they gave it the racing red.
Because red ones go faster.
But of course, red ones go faster.
The same reason I painted my dick red.
Good night, everybody.
And that's a wrap. So, anyway.
Also on string.
Sorry? Anyway, in universe, Thunderbird 3 is piloted by Alan Tracy. It is 87 metres long and a 7 metre wide body with a 24 metre span, including the engines. The ship travels at 25,000 miles per hour for escape velocity, and once it's under power with its ion engines, which it switches to once in space, it can make it to the sun in about 65 days. It weighs 562 tons. and it can sustain an acceleration of 6G, but can push it to 10G if need be. The ship has a number of things, such as detachable nose cone, just in case that it gets into trouble itself, a docking mechanism for docking with Thunderbird 5, forward-pointing collision sensors to avoid anything at high speed, and it also has a heat-resistant ceramic skin that can stand up to 3,000 degrees Celsius. The ship also has a redundancy facility for each buttress holding the engines, which, if they were damaged, Thunderbird 3 could still return safely back to the Earth. And it's got stealth systems on it, which allow it to run basically completely silent once in space. It's completely invisible to radar and other detection systems. It also has a very nifty thing, which not a lot of ships do have, which is a self-sealing hull. So if it's breached for whatever reason, it will seal itself using a sort of foam, like a special foam, to prevent loss of air and cabin pressure inside the cockpit. It has 3 engines, 3 main engines, 3 secondary engines on the central fuselage, and 9 retro rockets, and 10 altitude rockets, and has a launch thrust of 4 million pounds per square inch. The ship has been taken out on Thunderbird missions the smallest amount of times, unfortunately. But out of all of the Thunderbirds, it only did 5 missions, I believe. But otherwise, it is a bloody cool looking spaceship. And that, for my option, is Thunderbird 3. I think one of the coolest looking designs, so timeless that even in the modern film and in the CGI, wetter digital, all singing, all dancing Fandango version,
with grabby arms.
Had grabby arms and everything, they still didn't change the design. It's a classic. It's like a Ferrari.
It is a beautiful design, and one thing I loved about those original models is the sense of scale you got to them.
Yeah.
Whenever you saw the engines ignite, there was that little jump from those pods the engines were in just before it lifted off, and you got a real sense of that was a big rocket.
Yes, it is a big rocket. It is, like I say, it's based on its initial basis for scale and size and everything was based on Saturn V booster rocket that took everyone to the moon. So, there you go. That's my rocket. Right, okay, so, let's start discussions about Thunderbird 3, because
Let's rate this bugger.
Let's rate it. Now, obviously, it's not got any firepower to speak of, I would say. And I'm not going to even argue that. However, what I would say, just to get it on there for weapons, is you don't just count weapons. You've got to count defense. And I would argue that it's practically impossible to see Thunderbird 3 unless you're standing beside it because it has all these stealth systems.
Well, I'd argue as well, Thunderbird 1 and 2, for example, we know were armed. They had a machine gun on board.
And rockets.
Yes, Thunderbird 1 had rockets, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's safe to say we could assume there was some measure of defensive technology fitted to Thunderbird 3 outside of the stealth technology, if you will. But we're still kind of talking down in the 1 to 2 sort of regions at best. So I'd probably say a 1 for firepower. It's not designed really for any sort of offensive action. And even its defensive systems are really just stop that bold twat from getting his hands on it.
Yeah, but it can. No, come on. If you look at the history of Thunderbird 3 in the Thunderbirds Are Go and in the film, Thunderbird 3 is completely invisible, absolutely invisible. It's only when someone puts a tracker on the bloody thing that shines it up like a beacon. That's when someone sees it. So I'd say it was a 3. I'd say that firepower was a 3 because it can defend itself.
No, it can't.
2 at most.
Invisible. I'd even argue with 2. I'm saying a 1. This thing is a rescue shuttle.
3, 2, 1.
3. Ted Rogers.
Dusty bin.
No, let's not do Ted Rogers clues. Let's not do that. It's too early for that.
And to be fair, 1 is up on the 0 we were originally going to give it.
Yes.
It has nothing.
It has nothing.
It does. It has a stealth system.
I like your arguments, sir, and I'm willing to give you 2 out of the generosity of my heart.
Oh, that's very kind of you. I'm touched.
1.5. Final offer.
Jesus.
We doing halves?
Are we not doing halves, are we? Oh, God.
No, we're not doing halves.
Going to start splitting the cheese down to 3/4 and all that
Two,
sort of stuff.
two it is, then.
Okay, 2. Wicked.
Okay.
Hey. Now, for speed. Obviously, I've got actual speed calculations. I know how fast it goes. I know the thrust it puts out. I know it can get to the sun in 65 hours, and that's fairly bloody quick for any spaceship.
No,
Especially
that's
an
fast for
Earth.
something we have. When we're talking but at a 10, you can get from one side of the universe to the other in the click of a fingers. 25,000 miles an hour, you're at a 1.
25,000 miles an hour is for escape velocity. Once it's in space, it can get to the sun in
65 days.
65 hours.
You said days.
Did I?
Yes.
Hold on, let me double check that. double checking.
You don't do the train timetables as well, do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, see, that's what it is. It's all that conic stuff. There you go. It could travel to the Earth within range of the sun within 65 hours. I apologise.
Okay.
65 hours.
Not bad. Not bad. Still, though, again,
It's no hyperspace.
it's interplanetary. It's not interstellar.
Fucking hell, what do you guys want?
Beer.
Yes, beer.
And I've got it. Okay, so what do you think, Mr. Lee? What are you rating this?
I'm
as?
reckoning at least, because it's faster than the next wing before it goes into hyperdrive. It's definitely faster than anything like that. It's got to be. It's got to be
the
a
point
3.
is there, it can't do the hyperdrive bit.
Right, yeah, so that's going to affect the calculations. So go
Oh
on.
Jesus Christ, you two!
Lay on the table.
Okay, I'm gonna pitch for a 3.
No, I'll go with that.
Pitch for a 3. It's
Yep.
faster than a fighter, and it can't make hyperdrive. But I think once you get past your 4s and your 5s, you're into hyperdrive. You're into sort of interstellar travel in minutes, kind of thing.
I would say a 2, but since you two are both saying 3, I'm guessing we're giving it a 3.
There you go.
So.
I hope someone's taking notes.
I am taking notes, yes.
Fantastic. Good man. Okay, so, right now, size 200 feet tall. It's not the biggest ship in the world, give you that. But I know there are ships that we are going to be doing that are smaller than that. I mean, for example, it's a lot taller than the Millennium Falcon. And it's certainly a lot taller than, I would say, what was it? I'm trying to think of a ship which isn't the Millennium Falcon.
You've got it on the brain, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I have got it on the brain. We can't blame
Anybody
you for
think
that.
a film would come out or something?
Yeah, or
Yeah,
something.
exactly, yeah.
No, I mean it's definitely bigger than something like the Narcissus or any of those kind of ships. You know, those kind of mid-level ships like the Ebon Hawk or anything like that.
I suppose technically it's taller than the TARDIS.
It's definitely taller than the TARDIS, but not.
It has all the tallness, but but then it hasn't got much in the way of girth or. Where was I going with that?
I don't know. Can I ask, is Mrs. Org wandering around in her skimpies?
No, funnily enough. I'm still in the doghouse, so no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about the curtains. So, yeah. So I would say it's a pretty hefty looking thing. You'd stand beside it and you'd be small. And I don't know many ships. No, but I mean, even when you look at like the Millennium Falcon, you can still see people standing beside it. I don't think you can see anyone standing beside this thing if it's 200 feet tall.
I'm pretty sure I sent you a cutaway picture sort of thing the other day, which we'll put on the group if people want to see it. But you can kind of get a sense of the scale from that because you can see the couch they drive up on, which is silly, plus the control console and everything up there sort of thing.
Don't knock the couch. It's a patent leather couch, mate. That's proper. They've spent proper money on
that's
that.
pure 60s velour.
Oh, I've lost some change down the back. Oh, bugger.
Yeah, as it disappears into the floor. A couple of hairbands fall out, an earbud, remote control.
The Radio Times is halfway to the moon. Fuck.
Do you think Jeff Tracy sits there and goes, "Bugger, I can't turn on the telly. They've taken my remote control."
Yes.
I love the 65 suit because that's one thing you don't get with the Weta series. The ship looks like a model on string. it doesn't feel like a big real spacecraft as it did in the 60s show.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll get.
Doesn't
to
help.
that.
You've got Alan floating around on his bloody rocket board, which just kind
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, give over, you.
He's no fucking chopper, is he? Let's face it.
Yeah, having seen the crew of the X-Bomber, mate, I really wouldn't be going there.
Yeah, I was going to say your plastic fantastic shaved baboons.
Keep your powder dry. Keep your powder dry.
Anyway, so I'm going to go as size goes. I think you can name a number of spaceships: TIE fighters, X-wings, Millennium Falcon. You can, the Narcissus from Alien. I'd even argue the Normandy one, and they'd all be fairly small compared to standing right beside the fucking enormous red dildo that is Thunderbird 3.
Well, yes, but if you laid the enormous red dildo on its side and, put it in the same orientation as the other...
Yeah, it'd still be longer than the Millennium Falcon. It'd still be bigger than the TIE Fighter. It'd still be bigger than the X-Wing.
Yeah, but the Normandy?
Yeah.
50-50.
No.
No.
Go on, this is with a number, Lee.
Okay, I'm going to go for size. I'm going to put it, because it's not a planet size, but I've still got to go for 3. I still think it's a 3.
Fair. Well, I'm happy with 3.
Because I don't...
Oh, I'm going to go over 2.
Oh, you. Give over.
I'm sorry, mate, but I'm just...
Why a 2? Why a 2?
Because I'm thinking of all the ships which are much bigger than it.
Yeah, but then that puts everything that's smaller than it, including the Millennium Falcon, down at a 1.
Why is that a bad thing? Just because it's small doesn't mean it doesn't score highly in all the other categories.
Okay.
But
I'm
when
just
it comes
saying...
to size, that is something we can quantify.
Okay, fair enough. Not cross at all.
Well,
right.
Fair, we've had 2 3s and a 2, so I think it should be a 3.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm happy with a 3. If you want to put a 2 down, then
I'll put a 3. I let it not be said I'm not a team player.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
This is a democracy.
Exactly.
Unlike the Black Hawk.
Yep. No. Exactly. This is a 3-way thing. This is not.
Wait. Can we just rephrase that?
As all the best things are.
Yeah, it saves one of you getting up. Anyway, right. Next one, coolness. Now, I think this is bloody cool. I think this should score high. Easily an 8. Because I don't easily. Because I don't think there's anyone who would look at that and say, that's not a bloody cool looking spaceship. I'll give over. Really?
No, I'm not going to argue this one. I agree. This is a cool ship, especially the 60s one. I think it's a really well realized ship. It is iconic. You can't argue that.
It's a big red rocket.
Yeah, well, iconic comes into distinctiveness, but I think
cool.
cool,
I'm just saying from a cool point of view. Yeah, I'll give you the 8.
Yeah,
It hasn't even got a two-tone colour scheme like Tintin's had.
it has. It has got. In fact, it's got 4 tones. It's got white, red, blue, and black.
It's mostly red, let's face it.
Yeah. and a Star Destroyer is mostly grey. What's your point?
True. Yes, and I would mark a Star Destroyer down accordingly.
So you're telling me if a kid, an 8-year-old kid, gets told, "Oh, you can pick either this shuttle from Buck Rogers or this ship from I don't know, from Fireball XL5 or Thunderbird 3," the kid would not pick it. The kid would not go, that looks...
Those are amazing choices. Yes.
Yeah, but to be fair, an 8-year-old kid's are probably a bloody idiot. What does it know? It's 8 years old and a kid.
Jeez, you two are tough. You're like Harrison Ford trying to get people off their lawn. Yeah. Don't worry, I'll warm up.
You've got to fight for your supper here, mate.
Well, I think it's cool because it looks cool. It looks fast. It looks sleek. It isn't like a lot of the spaceships that are going to be on our list, including a certain lunchbox with a spinny bit in the middle, which is all lumps and bumps and things sticking out and lights everywhere. It looks cool.
On second thoughts, actually, I'm thinking maybe a 6.
Yeah.
I'm thinking an 8 because just like a Ferrari, it's a timeless classic. You just look at it and you go, that was designed to within an inch of its life. It looked lovely. It's brilliant. It's a glorious looking ship.
6 is as far as I'm going.
Sons of bitches.
I was with you, but then someone made a comment about lunchbox with a spinny section, so I'm going to go with a 6 there.
Son of a bitch. Okay, distinctiveness. Tell me you cannot spot that ship, and tell me that is not an iconic design. If
No,
you,
it's just a giant red rocket.
then you, sir, are an idiot. because we're going to get to your one in a minute, and I'll tell you what,
Which is at least distinctive. Whether it's
it's an X-wing.
nice is another matter. But
It's an X-wing with
Now,
a swan's
I'm
neck
going to
attached to
give
it.
Lee this one because it is two things fundamentally. One, it's a big red fucking rocket, and two, it has Thunderbird 3 written on the side with a giant 3 at the bottom.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Lee. If we throw into distinctiveness, and this isn't a word, I've just made it up, but iconicness. If we throw that into the distinctiveness category, then I'm willing to go higher.
Well, it'll have to be. That's distinctive. Being
Yeah.
iconic.
I think it has to go in there as well because
Yeah.
there are ships which, again, like the Enterprise, like the Falcon, which are iconic.
Yeah.
But if you just take, say, the Enterprise and you want to take points away because every Star Trek ship has nacelles and a saucer, that's not terribly fair.
Yeah, basically, what we've got here is, yes, it's just a big red rocket, but arguably it is the red rocket.
Yeah,
So,
it is. It is the red rocket, and then it's got those little foils that go down to the actual engines, and I just think it looks.
I love the way they're all grabby in the new series.
Yeah, exactly, and they're all grabby in the new series, and I think they are. It's a beautiful looking thing. I think it's got that 60s coolness about it. It's got that 60s design. It's all swirly curves and everything. Stuff which would then turn up in the Enterprise D. You know, all these oblique curves and everything trying to blend into everything else, yet somehow
it is that
maintain a machine.
beautiful 1960s thought of a future where everything was fast and high tech. You know, like you had the Jetsons sort of cars. You know, that sort of optimistic future.
Yeah, exactly. So for that, I'm going for a 9. I'm pushing for a 9 on this.
Ooh,
I think there is. I don't think there's a lot more distinctive than that. I mean, there are other distinctive things, and they all should get a 9. But I don't think really there's many people who could not notice that Thunderbird 3 was in the room if it was bright fucking red and looking like
it's
that.
on my foot!
It's ruining me garden. Get it out of me. Get it out of me rhubarb.
I can't get to the bog. Get it out of the way.
I'd go with a 9. Yeah, I'm with you there. It is.
It's 8 or 9. It's 8 or 9.
It's a 9.
All right,
It's
we'll
gotta
go with
be a
9 then.
Thank
give you a
you.
9.
Thank you. Thank you.
Never say we never give you anything.
Well, don't worry. It's your turn next.
I know. See, I'm being nice.
Yeah,
See?
you're warming up to
Remember
being
that?
nice. Yeah. No. I remember the early part of this before you realised it was your turn next. So, realisation, and then we'll wrap up on mine. I think, with the limitations of the puppetry, I think it was really well done. I think it's unlike some ships, which had very visible strings. Extremely visible strings, in fact. Some that look like pieces of cable hanging off them.
And were made 20 years after.
Yeah,
Let's not forget.
Yeah. Let's not forget. I think that the way that it was executed in the 60s was very well done. I don't think there's many puppet shows which pulled that kind of complexity off. Not even Terrorhawks managed it. No, but,
I'm with Lee on this. It's
yeah.
with the 60s show, it was all of the model work was because all of these guys had come off, went on to do 2001 and like effectively founded the VFX industry doing stuff like this. The model work is still today spot on the best. I mean, the Weta series, the model work doesn't hold a torch to the stuff from the 60s show, and even the film of which we don't mention, Jonathan Frakes. It had that cool kind of launch sequence, but it still wasn't as cool and well realized as just you got that sitting in the roundhouse there sort of thing. I mean, the engines ignite, and you get that little bit of a shudder and the
then goes
jump
off.
of those cups sort of thing, and then it just lifts up. No, it's for realization, I'm going to give it a 9. I'd say a 9.
I think so because I think it's easy to do stuff in CGI, and I'm laughing inside, but you know it's to do something in CGI and make it look like it's not on strings is the easiest thing in the world. Whereas to do it in the 60s, and let's be honest, you know, there are episodes of Red Dwarf where you can look at Starbug and you can see the bloody strings holding it on. Yeah. And, you know, this thing was in the 1960s and it did it slick and it was very well executed. And, you know, okay, the puppets themselves, the pilots, were bloody awful, really. But
fortunately, at the minute, we're not talking about the crew pilots, which is a good thing for you, Peter, isn't it?
Indeed, yes. Let's just stick to the ship, shall we?
And so we got to, and so I think for execution, given it's the time it was made, I think it was faultless. I think it was definitely a 9. So
yeah, I'm happy to give it a 9 as well.
I guess I'm going to have to go with a 9 then, aren't I?
Oh well.
You can state it was under protest, though.
I personally would have gone with around about 8, but no, fine. 9.
Yeah.
9.
Good job we're not splitting differences here, isn't it?
9, don't go.
No, never mind. Right, okay. Well, so that was me. So what's the grand total?
Ooh.
What's the grand roll?
Well, I've entered it into our highly advanced supercomputer here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it might still be wrong. I've rounded up sort of thing. I've moved the little beads across on the abacus sort of thing. And that gives me a total of 32.
32 points.
Yes.
Right. Okie dokie. Well, so 32 points for the beautiful red love rocket that is Thunderbird 3.
He's going to burst into song in a minute.
Yeah. I'm just a love rocket and I won't work for nobody but you. He's nicked my bloody remote control again. Right, okay, so that's Thunderbird 3 out the way. Obviously, the best ship this episode. I don't see anyone else coming in for anything else now. There'll be no arguments.
No. This isn't a black dog, mate. No.
I'm going to keep pushing until like episode 10 and I might give up by that point. But anyway, so Thunderbird 3 successfully out the gate, our first ship on the board with 32 points. 32 points. And so we're on to our next ship. Our next ship is being presented by you, Pete. And what is it?
It is the X-Bomber. In Japan, the series is the same name, but in this country it was called Starfleet. Created by Go Nagai, a manga artist. It was originally aired in Japan in 1980 and lasted 26 episodes. Although 2 of those were clip shows, cheeky buggers, with the excuse it was very expensive to produce for its time, apparently. Although one of the clip shows does very cleverly feature the bad guys being put on trial for their failure, which is quite clever. I've not seen that before, so some credit for that. It's got balls. Anyway, it was filmed in what is very cheekily called Super Mario-rama.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
It does, doesn't it? Yes. Which
nothing like Super Mario Nation at all. Completely
not
different.
at all. It rather does give a good idea of the production method, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It also owes a big debt to Star Wars when it comes to ideas. It was broadcast in this country on ITV in 1982.
I remember.
Yes. And this was my Thunderbirds. I always found Thunderbirds a bit slow. And this, of course, was all about spaceships, so therefore it gained my attention far more quickly.
Yeah.
I spent hours recreating the ships using Lego, which is especially taxing if you include all the moving parts necessary to make the neck of the X-Bomber move. I also built replicas of the other big mecha, Die-X, a giant robot formed of 3 vehicles that were carried on the X-Bomber. But it was always the spaceship that was my favourite, the X-Bomber.
Nice.
Initially piloted by Dr. Ben, the bearded wise advisor Kenobi figure. And the star was the somewhat irritating, I have to admit, Shiro, fairly bland, typical Luke Skywalker type. Your Han Solo was rather more impressive, Barry Hercules. Although, unfortunately, the Japanese version, had the rather more dodgy moniker of Bongo Hercules. Yeah. Wish I hadn't discovered that, really, but never mind.
Bongo Hercules. Oh, nice.
Yes. There was always a slightly cowardly figure in these series, and in Starfleet he was John Lee, a.k.a. Big Man Lee in the original, because he was short and round. See what they did there?
Yeah.
The Princess Leia analogue was Lamia, who was nowhere near as kick-ass as a Star Wars version. Mm-hmm. And she has her own version of Chewie. Bodyguard called Kirara, but I still do mispronounce it as Kiora, which has been unfortunate, really.
Was it too orangey for crows?
Exactly. It's too hairy for crows. And, of course, yes, this is the 1980s, so that had to be an irritating robot. So we get PPA, a.k.a. Perfectly Programmed Android.
Oh, God.
Yes. They spent ages on that, didn't they? Anyway, it was never about the puppets, and let's move swiftly on for the puppets because they are crap. It's the spaceships I drooled over, and none more so than X-Bomber itself. Now, think a much bigger X-Wing. Much bigger, okay? This is a proper battle cruiser, replete with loads of armaments. And yes, okay, it is being flown on strings. And yes, okay, it may look at times slightly ropier than Thunderbirds, but the actual design itself is a thing of beauty. And one of the things I always like is being able to see where the bridge is of a ship and be able to, when they cut to the internals, if you like, and that reflect on the externals, where they did a really good job of making it look like, yes, what you were seeing was inside the ship. So I was completely transported as a kid, and this was one of my most favourite ships for a long while. So, shall we rate this bugger?
Yeah. Do we not have any in-universe history for it?
In universe history, it kind of turns up at the end of the first episode to try and basically they're under attack from the evil alliance from outside their galaxy or some such, and basically their usual forces are sent out and get their asses handed to them, and then X-Bomber appears to save the day basically and turns up, and then is featured throughout most of the rest of the series, except for, interestingly, the finale, which is more sort of reliant around the die-Xing. Basically, anything that was land-based, die-X, the big giant robot thing, kicked the crap out of. But anything that was flying, basically, X-Bomber generally did the job. Even when it got downed, it managed to be able to defend off the attackers and save the day. So it was a very impressive ship.
Right, and when was this made again? Just
1980, I think, was when 1980 it was first shown in Japan, so I guess they probably started in the 70s.
Okay, cool. Right, go on then. Let's get into rating this thing, the X-Bomber.
Okay, throw some numbers at this bugger.
Go on then.
Now, firepower is probably where it does its strongest, as is typical with these sort of shows. Basically, whatever the situation needed, it had the firepower to meet the situation. So it had 3 heavy caliber laser machine guns, which were rather reminiscent of those we saw on the Falcon, and yes, had the guys in their little seats firing away, which I always thought was really cool. It is definitely a Star Wars rip-off, and there's no two ways about it. It also had forward and rear-facing shockwave laser cannons, whatever the hell they are, but they went zap very impressively. Laser torpedoes from the wingtips and from just above the neck. Again, they just look like normal lasers, though, so quite how they were torpedoes, I don't know, but there we are. Very fancy. And there was a massive laser cannon, which was revealed when the neck hinged up. And that usually saw off most of the enemy using that. But when that didn't work, then they fell back on the all-powerful, when you absolutely positively have to explode every other motherfucking ship in the galaxy, X-Impulse, which is some sort of energy projection from the wingtips that destroyed enemy battleships in seconds. Quite why they didn't use that straight away, we're never explained. It's not like it, shorts all the systems or anything. They just, oh shit, we've got nothing else to use. Let's use the X-Impulse. Oh yeah, maybe we should have used that to start with. But anyway, it was, it shot everything out of the sky.
How did it work? Was it like, because I vaguely remember the X-Bomber doing a thing that looked a bit like the Death Star, where the lasers would come in from the corner rings and join together in the big beam. That's right.
The laser torpedoes do that. The X-Impulse is more like the whole screen just goes white. It's just like, just press the big switch and everything disappears.
Just a smart bomb.
Yeah. So they build up to that one.
Well, I mean, I do remember this. What you're talking about now, as you mentioned, it was like, oh yeah. I mean, for clearing a small area, I mean that you can't go wrong. I think you've got to give it at least an 8.
I would be talking at least 8. Yes.
Yeah, I think a 7 or an 8 is fine for that, because it is literally, you can fire in every direction and basically clear the entire battlefield with a press of a button.
It never meets its match when it comes to firepower. All right, it doesn't blow up any planets, so we definitely can't give it a 10. But I would definitely go at least an 8.
Yeah, I mean, it's, if you put it up against like the Enterprise D, for example, the Enterprise D has torpedoes, but they only fire in sort of a very limited direction. Mm-hmm. Its phasers can fire in every direction, but
nowhere near as powerful as what.
Yeah.
To be fair, the torpedoes on the Enterprise are by themselves controlled. They can change course. So even if you kick them out the rearwards, they can turn around and come forwards. Yeah,
but you've still got they're still cumbersome to fire. Let's put it this way: you're firing them, and they have to kind of arc round. I mean, the bloody X-bomber, you just press it, and it's just like there's a big white ball. It looks like the beginning of Akira, and everything just disappears.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Fair enough. I mean,
that's a fairly.
I've all I know about this is from YouTube over the last week. I'll just leave it at that. So I will defer to you, gentlemen, when it comes to firepower.
No, I mean, I think as far as it goes, I mean, there are battleships in sci-fi, and there are fighters in sci-fi, but there's not many. I put it in the same category as the Death Blossom from Last Starfighter. Once you press that button, and the Gunstar goes off in a big spinny ball, basically everything is dead. But it's gonna disable your ship for a little while, and that's the same. I think it's the same deal. I think if you had the Gunstar in this at the moment, you'd be saying the same thing. It'd be about an 8, because it just takes everything out. There's just no way around it, and it has that. And as Pete rightly says, it has that sort of Power Rangers kind of. We could do this. Oh, we can press this button. You have up leveled to do this thing. Oh, what, we couldn't do it before, and it just has everything for everything. It's a bloody Swiss Army knife of a weapon.
Yep.
So
I think we'll say an 8 for firepower.
Good man. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be fair.
Now, speed is slightly more dodgy because there's no speed given.
No.
Except for their own wanky, I can't remember what they call it now in universe speed, but it doesn't relate to anything else.
They
in
call
the
it
real
Kellicams or something like that.
It may as well be Kellicams, yes. What you do see in the series is that it's very manoeuvrable despite its size. And despite the fact that it's on wires, they do fly those ships really fast. Actually, it's very impressive, but they do wobble a bit. But we'll come on to that.
Yeah.
So, in terms of sheer speed, it is as fast as it needs to be. It can always catch up with the enemy. So, I'm going for just a ballpark figure of 7, just because we're not given anything more to go on than that.
I mean,
I don't know about that.
I'm
more in the 4-5 region.
Yeah, I was going to say 5, so we can split.
Well, to be fair, it never does sort of hyperdrive or anything like that. So I guess probably 5. Yeah, I'm quite happy with 5.
I think we should have a sort of a sub rule that basically, if it can't go like hyperspeed, if it can't go beyond the speed of light, 5 is your top limit. 5 is the
best you can do. I think that's fair. Yeah,
I think that's fair enough, because you never see it travel beyond like between planets. It literally just seems to always just turn up and have a fight. It never really, again, it's Power Rangers.
It's fast on screen, but yeah, you're right. It doesn't, the stars don't all suddenly turn into long strips across the screen. So, 5 is good. I'm happy with 5.
Cool.
Okay.
Size, I can give you some figures for this, thanks to the DVD box set, which has got. I don't know whether they put these figures out their arse, but there we are. They're on the DVD box set. They're canon, as far as I'm concerned. It's 259.5 meters long.
And a half.
Yes, I know. It's that all-important half. Don't forget that half. God knows how they came up with this. 39.5 meters high.
Right.
And 38 meters wide. That all-important measurement.
Yeah, it's all about the girth.
Yes.
So interestingly, it's almost taller than Thunderbird 3, but not by much. Because Thunderbird 3 is
longer.
Yeah. It's no. I'm talking about if you stood Thunderbird 3 on its end and it's 200 feet tall. That's roughly about 20 something meters, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Yes.
And this thing's 25. Did you say 25 meters tall? 26.
Height is 39.5.
Oh, 39.5. So it's almost twice the height, thinking about it. So there you go. Twice the height of Thunderbird 3.
No, I'd probably say a 5 then.
Yeah, I think a 4 or a 5.
I will go with 5. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, of course you would.
Of course.
I will go with a 7. Yeah, I think 5's fair enough at the moment. But again, I think this is going to start shifting once we get to the bigger ships.
Quite possibly.
Because we're not leaving ourselves a lot of room for manoeuvre between Star Destroyer and Star Killer base. You know,
Little bit of a point I was trying to make earlier, but like you said, we'll come to that.
Yeah, all right.
Remember, prices can go up as well as down.
Yeah, exactly.
This is true, yes.
This is
We're
all
discovering this evening.
Yeah, exactly. So go on in. So coolness.
Now I'm in trouble. We move on to coolness. Now, as a kid...
Do you hear that, Peter? That's the sound of two gentlemen rubbing their hands together.
Yeah, I've just started a fire, actually.
Yeah, okay. This ship features heavily in my childhood. As I say, I recreated it several times in Lego. And as a kid, it was pretty damn cool. No, okay. Part of its coolness. Well, no, let's not worry about realisation yet, because that's where it just get kicked in the balls, doesn't it? But
you're on a 1.
It's a cool design. It always grabbed all my attention. It's definitely the best ship in the series. It was definitely supposed to be one of the coolest things in the series, along with obviously the Diex, which did grab a lot of the attention. But for me, it was the main star of the series. So I'm therefore hoping for. I'm going to fight for a 7 for this one.
A 7.
You can fight all you want, mate. Ain't happening.
I mean, I'm sorry if what did Thunderbird
6 Thunderbird 3 had a 6.
What, for coolness?
Yes.
And you're giving
it was boring.
And this is a 7. This thing looks
It's a 7. It's distinctive. It's nice.
distinctive, all right, but that's not distinctiveness we're talking about. It's cool.
No, we're talking about cool. And
I've got to be honest, that it's not cool. It looks like a bunch of shoeboxes stuck together with a swan attached to the front. I mean,
yeah, it's for me the proportions are all wrong, just from an aesthetics point of view.
I mean, I get the one thing I do think is cool, and why I'd be willing to go as far as 5, maybe 6, is it does have that Voltron kind of stylistic thing of kind of it looks muscly.
Mm-hmm.
It looks well up for a fight, and but it just, for something that's travelling in space, it seems to have an awful lot of air vents.
Interesting. They're presumably not open most of the time.
Well, I would hope not.
They do go into the atmosphere as well, so I guess they probably could open them.
Yeah.
But
but it's that sort of obsession that some manga artists have with sort of like everything has to have slatted sort of vents that make it look like they've fallen into a blind shop. The neck is very odd. The neck, when it hinges up,
it's like, okay, so how does this thing stay together most of the time then, if that's all that's holding the neck in place?
Yeah, yes. if it's just a couple of Wix hinges holding this thing together.
And believe me, when you built it out of Lego, that really was the weak point, because that was just one massive hinge.
Exactly, yeah. So
it's funny you should mention Lego, because to me this looks like, you know, it was something I'd have made as a kid, building it out of Lego. I'd get halfway through and realise I'm running out of bricks and just have to finish it. So you get this wimpy neck.
Yeah, I mean...
But you can see where the bridge is, and as I say, the bridge is reflected when you see the inside. It does. They even have little windows on the side. So,
but is it cool?
I think that makes it cool, personally,
because
that's important to me.
know, cool is a sort of a fairly indistinct kind of thing.
Yes,
to
I
judge.
grant you. One person's cool is another person's larder, but you know
exactly. And I was going to say, if I was going to say this, if I was going to do the equation of ship to car, just for the moment, because we've done Ferrari for the Thunderbird 3.
Thunderbird 3.
I would say this was more of a Volvo.
I think you were right before. It's a Lada.
Well, no.
No. Now, this ship is fairly indestructible. It does get downed at one point, but mostly it's fairly indestructible.
I mean,
so I think Volvo actually, in some ways, isn't a bad comparison. So,
exactly.
It's built solidly, and
it's solid. It's solid. It's like a solid warship, and that's cool, but not cool enough. If you suddenly were to present me with that, I'd be like, from the side, it just looks it looks sad. I mean, it does. It looks sad. Not sad as in it's just crap. I'm saying sad as in it's always got its head down and it's always looking a little slumped.
It's got its head down, ready for action.
Even
yeah.
the wings are kind of slightly arced downwards, even though it's like in an X-wing formation. It's just it doesn't strike me as something that's cool. It's not something that I yearn to have. If I was a kid, I wouldn't be sitting there going, I want this.
It's not a pleasant thing to look at for me. You know, I just looking at it, it's just like the proportions are wrong.
I mean, I like I say, I can understand if you're into the sort of manga and that kind of stuff. There is all the design ticks there that make it kind of cool. Like I say, like strange shoulder-mounted air vents and underslung hip-based air vents. And
of course, you've got the wee ships that come out, the free ships that come out of it that then form the Diex. So, I mean, that's whole big manga thing, isn't it?
And you know, what it can actually do is fairly cool. So that's why I'm kind of willing to sort of split it down the middle and go for a 5.
Okay, well, I suppose a 5.
I was at a 3, to be honest.
Well, 5 it is then. Let's move on.
Well, do you want to split the difference and give it a 4?
No, it's cooler than a 4. It's much.
I really don't think it is, though. I really don't think it is.
This is the first and last cast.
I tell you what, I relented to Lee on a couple of occasions, so I'm willing to go for a 5.
Okay. There you go, 5.
I'll grit my teeth.
Which takes us to distinctiveness.
Distinctiveness, and it is damn distinctive. Admittedly, it does reflect the X-Wing, because that's kind of what they were going with, but it's a lot bigger.
That's the problem, though, isn't it? It's iconic because it's pulling on other things.
Ish. So I think it's probably the very definition of a 5, therefore.
I mean, you can't be distinctive by ripping everyone else off. Because the first thing I look
completely, to be fair, because that bridge is, as I say, it's quite a distinctive design in and of itself.
But I'm looking at a frame of it right now, coming straight towards me, and all I can see is the X-wing.
Mm-hmm. That's true. When you look at front on, that's a fair comment. But looking at side on, or looking at a oblique angle, I think it does look more distinct.
Yeah,
it doesn't just look like an X-wing. It looks like.
I'd say this about it: it doesn't look like anything else if you know what it is. But if you show this to someone who doesn't know what Starfleet is, they're not having a clue.
No, it doesn't have recognition. So if you factor in that into distinctiveness, then it is going to.
And we've already said iconicness does factor into it.
Yeah, okay. So I'll be talked down to a 4 on this then. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, looking at it, especially now, I'm looking up some of the actual drawing designs of it, and I have to say, it does remind me of Terrahawk 1. Which one came first?
That came later, so you can't.
Okay, no, that's fine. Terrahawk 1 can get a kick in the teeth for that, then, but
later on.
Yeah, much later on. But yeah, I mean, when you see the paintings of it and the drawings of it, I mean, I'm looking at one now for the bomber model kit. I mean, it does look quite nice because it's got that sort of manga-y feel to the whole thing. Here,
concept art wise, it looks like it could have been a well realized ship.
But what I'm looking at when I see it actually flying around on a big cable, that's a different kettle of fish.
Cables, where we're going, we don't need cables.
Well, you do, otherwise it won't
you
take
do,
off.
Yeah.
Not in my imagination, it don't. Oh, it's lovely, that, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the design itself is fairly distinctive and fairly well done. I think just the model lets it down. So I'm willing to go for nearly a 5, but I wouldn't push it past that. I'm being very generous. If Andy settles on a 4, then I'm happy for 4. But
I'd say a 4 just because it doesn't look like anything else in of itself. But yeah, it's got no recognition outside of people that know it.
Yeah,
nope.
And it's just and
it looks like
Sorry.
it pulls from too many other sources. That's the problem. And so it's too easy for people to look at it and go, oh, is that an X-Wing? Or is that a Viper, which I thought when I first saw the shoulder air vents, and you see it coming at you from the front, it's like, oh, it's got air vents. Oh, it's a fighter. And then you realise, actually, no, it's a lot bigger than that. And it takes you a while to work out quite how big it is. But, yeah, I think a 4.
Okay, 4, fine. I'll go with a 4.
And now we come to
realization. It's on fucking wires.
It's on wires.
That by itself isn't grounds for it being shit.
Yeah, but no, it's clearly on fucking wires. It is a high quality model. If you don't see it when it's moving, it looks wonderful. So we need some points for that.
It was made 10 years after Thunderbirds, and the
and
wires got 10 times thicker.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it was. Yeah, but I mean, considering what they actually get it to pull off on the screen is quite impressive as well. So I'm pushing for a 4 for this, despite its wobbliness.
I mean, it's the fact is.
I'm at a 2 or a 3. I'm afraid.
I've got to say, I'm on a 3. I'm sorry, but even like when it has
and all the explosions you get and the laser effects.
Yeah, they must have spent minutes painting those on.
Oh no! I mean, they're actual physical explosions. Actually, it's one of the slight downsides. They do go way over the top on the amounts because, of course, as soon as you get an explosion, you get smoke. It's supposed to be in space, and the smoke drifts up. It's like, oh fuck!
The fact that even though it does pull all these amazing stunts off, it very clearly wobbles more than like
wires.
Yes. But it wobbles like a front door of 40 Towers.
On the upside, it's nowhere near as bad as the fucking puppets are.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You are so lucky we're not including crew on this.
Yeah, I was
indeed.
Say, if we ever included crew, you'd be sitting on a big fat
minus
0.
numbers. Yes,
we'd be taking things away from the coolness just because of the puppets. That was bad.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, the puppets make Thomas the Tank Engine look like a work of genius, don't they?
They make Thomas the Tank Engine look like Jurassic Park. I mean, wow.
To be fair, Thomas the Tank Engine was much better realised, and that was around the same time, wasn't it?
Thomas the Tank Engine?
A bit later. The
that
TV
was a bit
series.
later. But,
but still, yeah.
Yeah, I've got to say a 3. Pete, I'm sorry, I can't. I mean,
I can be talked down to a 3.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Just the fact that when its neck opens up to unleash the super duper weapon, it literally you see it tip forward and overbalance on the cables. It's just.
Yeah, that's that sort of shudder, isn't it, when it reaches the high point?
Yeah, it's like oh shit, it's tipping forward. You can almost hear like 4 guys going trying to lift it up.
I'm very freely admit this always looked better in my mind's eye than it actually did look on the screen. So fair enough, 3. Yeah. I'm happy to go with the 3.
There you go. So.
Gives us a total of...
What does that give us a total of?
Let me enter it into the
shovel some coal on the computer.
Supercomputer.
Yeah.
And that gives us a total of 30 points.
Ooh.
A lot closer than I thought it would be, if I'm honest.
To be quite honest, yeah, me too. But, you know, there you go.
Yes, where it gained with firepower, speed and size over Thunderbird 3, but then was decimated with distinctiveness, coolness and realisation.
I feel like I've just... rescued a drowning child or something.
yeah. While we were putting our foot on its head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woo.
So there you go. So right at the top of the board is Thunderbird 3. I'm saying that because I'm just enjoying it. Okay, so there you go. So that's the X-Bomber placed firmly underneath Thunderbird 3. Good. And so now it's time to get to our third and final ship of the day. And that ship is, Andy?
As you can imagine, I've done this properly. And I have chosen the EAS Agamemnon from Babylon 5.
Not just any old Omega Destroyer.
No. If you're going to do it properly. Plus, both of you have kind of picked specific ships. Not classes of ships. You picked specific ones. So I thought, I too should just pick a specific one. Although Agamemnon was basically a stock Omega Destroyer. So what I say applies to them all. It's all good.
Okay, go on in. We'll have at it, sir. Tell us all about it.
Designed by Paul Bryant at Foundation Imaging. And it had over 250,000 polygons, which was huge for the time. This was a computer model, unlike the other two, which were practical models. This was all created inside of a computer using Lightwave. Paul Bryant says he was asked to create a big, badass battle cruiser, and he wanted to just rough something out. He wanted it to look big, really imposing. So he just took design cues from the big South African steam engines, the big plates and all this. He just stuck guns and antennas and everywhere. But the sense was this was just going to be a huge ship. If this rocked up in your neighbourhood, you were going to have a bad day. The ship was designed to use an Amiga, and it could actually fit the model on a 1.44 floppy disk. So those old little... you remember floppy disks? Your kids today don't want to know what it's the save icon. It used to be able to keep it on one of those.
Yes. Google it, people.
Yes, Google it, sort of thing. It was quite revolutionary for the time. Again, Babylon 5 was one of the first series to use CGI, and a lot of the design choices were informed to make life easier. So the Agamemnon has a giant A on the front. This is largely because they couldn't put image maps on one side of a polygon. It would be on both sides. So by sticking an A, it didn't matter which side you saw it from, it would work on either one. So, really, Agamemnon was just designed to be this massive fuck-off ship. The rotating section in the middle, an obvious homage to the Leonov from 2010. By obvious homage, I mean complete rip-off.
Yes.
But Sid Mead has actually addressed this and says he doesn't mind that it was a copy. His view is it is solving the same physics problems. You come to the same conclusions. So in his mind, it's fine. So no one particularly minds, except for Lee. But other than that, everyone is fine.
Who didn't mind? Who was that person you quoted there?
It was Sid Mead.
Okay.
What was it? Not Sid Mead who did the Leonov?
No, that's fine. I'm fine.
No.
I just suddenly thought you were going to pull Sid Mead out as a Babylon 5 designer. I was just sorry.
No. Already established. This was designed by Paul Bryant. So yeah, I mean that was the ship. It was built by Foundation Imaging. Later series was produced by Netta Digital. A lot of background politicking of why Foundation lost the contract, but as a result of that, you never really got a sense of what the ship could really do in the later seasons of Babylon 5 because they didn't know. The designer was no longer working on the show and he couldn't show them all the cool stuff which had been built into the ship. Which brings me to the fictional history of the ship.
Go on then.
The Omega-class destroyer is an Earth Alliance warship. It is 1,714 meters long, one of the largest in the EA fleet. One of the most powerful ships of the younger races. It features big, heavy-duty mine launchers sort of thing. These are the same guns you see taking on shadow cruisers. Unfortunately, we never saw these fire in the show. But they are there, so it counts. Huge array. Yes, really. This is all from the designer. This is all canon. All down the side, you had these red portals, which were designed to open up to launch missiles. The concept was it would be like those big sailing galleons. You get the two ships would go side to side, sort of thing, and open up with massive broadsides, backwards and forward. The Omega could carry Star Fury fighters, and one of the interesting things was it had Cobra bays like Babylon 5. They were in the rotating section, and the idea was as the section spun around, it would fling out the fighters through centripetal force to the direction of where they needed to go and attack and to take on the bad guys and stuff like this. Again, unfortunately, we never saw this on the show because Netta Digital didn't know, but never mind. These were in service from the end of the Earth-Minbari War. They were designed during it to try and stem the destruction and everything, but they came out too late. But remained one of the heaviest duty Earth Alliance ships and used with the younger racers right through until the end of the show and into Crusade. During the Earth Alliance Civil War, they also experimented grafting shadow biotechnology to create the advanced Omegas. But we only really saw them once.
Omegas.
The hentai Omegas, yes. There was a bit of tentacle action going on there.
Yeah, the Warlocks, weren't they? They were cool.
No, not the Warlocks. The Warlocks was a separate ship altogether.
Okay. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's quite all right. But yes, so fundamentally, that is the Omega-class destroyer.
Interesting. So, big, heavy, tanky bastard.
It is fundamentally a brick in space, but it is a brick in space you don't want to fuck with.
Yeah. But nevertheless, a brick in space.
And floats in space in exactly the same
The
way as
US Air
Brickstone.
Force have... there's also the A-10, which I like to describe as ugly but well hung.
Yes. Well, there you go. But we're not doing planes.
No, we were using spaceships.
So
It applies nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, let's go for it then. So what have we got here? So we got firepower. What are you going to put forward for firepower, Andy?
Look, it can't destroy a planet in a single shot.
No.
Mm-hmm.
But it is one of the most powerful vessels in Babylon 5. It is packing some heavy-duty heat. So I'm going to go for an 8, the same as the X-Bomber.
It's definitely not the most powerful in terms of the series, is it? In terms of weaponry, anyway.
No.
There's the first ones, which are more powerful. But other than that, I mean, it's supposed to be...
And the Minbari.
Yeah, and the Minbari. And, let's be honest, the X-Bomber just presses a button and everything just goes away.
They have to work a lot harder than that.
They just cut the strings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works.
It works. Yeah. You press a button, a big pair of scissors.
Activate scissors.
But nevertheless, you would lose an Omega class destroyer before you lost the X-Bomber. I would argue. And we have seen them go down.
We have seen them go down. There are more of them, however, and it doesn't have the advantage of being the title show character.
Well,
and we've agreed we're not going to include character shields as a basis of this,
No.
but that does have something to do with it.
well, maybe. But, nevertheless, I think the ability to press a button and actually clear a battlefield in a single shot is something a bit more powerful than the Omega. I know the Omega's got lots of everything.
Okay,
I would.
If it's an 8, I'll go with 7.
I would say, I think 7's fair.
I could be dragged to a 7.
Yeah, I think 7's
Kicking and
fair.
screaming, but drag nonetheless.
I think it's fair because as much as anything, it's got enough firepower. It's like the Enterprise. It's got enough firepower that if it turned it on a planet, it would do a lot of damage. No two ways about it. But it's not going to sit there and, like I say, if the X-Bomb was sitting beside it, X-Bomber just presses a button and the Omega just vanishes. So by that means, it has to be in some manner weaker than the X-Bomber, which is anathema to me because I really like the X-Bomber. but you got by the rules of the game, I think it's definitely
in the category of firepower.
In the category of firepower, it's a little.
I'm happy with a 7. I will concede the point there. Yes.
So go on in speed. This is
So speed. Well, it in sublight it is slow, but it is capable of hyperspeed.
Is it though?
No, it uses jump gates, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was
No,
going to say.
it can generate its own. It has jump engines. It can create its own jump point.
Yeah,
so
but even
so you're looking above 5 then.
But hold on, but
by the rules.
Yeah, by the rules you're looking above 5. But I would argue one thing: it's not doing hyperdrive in the way that we see hyperdrive everywhere else. It literally is just opening a gate into another realm of space and trundling along at its same old speed.
You can argue that about the Falcon, though, mate.
But I would also argue it can't, unlike the Falcon and the X-Bomber, it can't turn on a dime. I mean, these are great big huge
it's a huge rollicking capital ship. I mean, it's about as manoeuvrable as a Star Destroyer.
So it's got a reasonably high speed, but ultimately manoeuvrability's got a factor in there as well. I think therefore it drags it down.
Yeah, well,
I think
I'm happy to go with a 6. It's hyperdrive.
Yeah, I think
it's slow hyperdrive.
I think 6 is fair.
Yeah, 6 is fair. I think I'll go along with that because once we get over 5, we're into hyperdrives, and it can do that. So 6 is fair. I think so. Size, I don't think we can argue that against any of our ships. I think that's
1,740 meters. It is about a kilometer long.
Yeah, I think one of its missiles is about the size of Thunderbird 3. So. I think that's fair to say that size it definitely wins, but where does it come on the scale? Now, where do we put the X-Bomber? I think we put an X-Bomber.
But the X-Bomber was 5.
4 or 5, yeah, 5.
Yeah, at 5.
By that measure, it's got to be up in a 7.
I'm going to be pitching an 8 for that one though, and I'm basing that off of things like where we've said with the firepower of the X-Bomber. If a 9 and a 10 are Death Star levels and stuff like that. There's a big step up there for the 9s and 10s. They're going to be I'm going for 7.
7, I think
7.
Is fair,
7 is fair. I mean, because it's not as big as a Star Destroyer, and a Star Destroyer is definitely up.
Is it not as big as a Star Destroyer?
No,
it's as long as a Star Destroyer, isn't it?
You look at a Super Star Destroyer then.
Well, but that's a Super Star Destroyer.
Yeah,
that's going to be pulling in a 9 for size, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Then you got to look at a Super Star Destroyer, and then you got to look at things like the first Star, Death Star, and that kind of thing. That's something of a ramp to go from the Super Star Destroyer to Death Star.
Yes,
so
yes.
I think we need to be down the lower
I'm happy
end.
with the point. I'm happy with a 7.
Cool. Okay. So now we're into the argument phase.
Yeah.
Coolness.
And now the question is how much does kicking it to me override the actual fact that this is a cool ship?
Don't try backing out of it now.
I'm not backing out of it. I love it. If it comes down to coolness for me, this is a 9.
No way.
No, it's a brick.
Yeah,
it's a fucking awesome brick.
It may be a very powerful brick, but ultimately it is a brick.
Yeah,
it's a fucking awesome brick.
I love my brick.
I do love my brick. My brick is awesome.
I'm sorry. you can't sit there and say that for coolness it looks as cool as the fucking Thunderbird 3. No way.
No, you're right. It's cooler than Thunderbird 3, but I'm willing to concede the point because it's you.
Get out! Oh, don't back it on. Don't make this personal. Don't make this personal. This is not. Are you telling me, Porgies? Don't make it personal.
No, not at all. But I mean, look, for me, I love capital ships, sort of thing. You know, I like Galactica. I like Star Destroyers. I like big, slow-moving capital ships. That is
but Galactica and the Star Destroyers have a very distinctive shape to them.
Yeah, I think coolness and distinctiveness are kind of rolling together. We're sort of rapidly filing. Yeah. But I think that's the thing. Coolness, a Star Destroyer rocks up, you think, fuck, that's cool. And if Galactica or even the Pegasus, which was a lot sleeker, turned up, you'd be like, that's cool. Especially when it starts launching in every direction and the bullet clouds go up and everything. The thing for me with Omega class craft is that they don't have a personality. It's a bit like the Sulaco. It doesn't have a personality. It's just a solid lump of something.
No, I get what you're saying there, sort of thing. They are very much. It's not like, say, with Star Trek. You know, each ship's got a personality, sort of thing. You're right. It is the class of ship, sort of thing, is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'll grant you that point, but I still just think, you know, you say it's a brick in space, fine, but that is an aesthetic choice that they made with Babylon 5 for the Earth Alliance ships. They were all... And they even make fun of this when they did that shitty spin-off, which we don't speak of, where, you know, they did... What was it called? The Valen?
God, the Legend of the Rangers. Oh,
yeah, that thing. They even make joke of it in their own series, sort of thing. That is a design aesthetic choice. It is ugly but functional. And I find that kind of appealing. You know, I like the big, heavy plates of armor over the 4 sections and all that. I like the spinning section. This was kind of the first time, I think, outside of the Leonov in 2010, you saw something moving on the ship like that. You know, you look at Star Trek, sort of thing, until you get to Voyager, they're static ships. You look at the X-Bomber. The only time that anything physically moves on the ship is when the gun goes to fire.
Or the smaller ships come out of it. But
but my point is, this was something that was active. This was something that there was something going on with the ship at all time that was different. And that was cool. I mean, you look at Severed Dreams, when you got the 4 Omegas wailing on each other, sort of thing. That was cool.
Right. But that's cool in and of itself. It's not cool as in... to me, that's cool. That's cool because the same thing's fighting the same thing, and it's a cool thing to see big fucking things pummeling the shit out of each other.
Yes, it's a big fucking thing that pummeled the shit out of another big fucking thing. That was cool.
But they all look the bloody same.
So what? They were all the same. It was cool.
I could not tell one ship from the other.
And yet, still cool.
So go on then, Andy. What are you
pitching for? Realistically,
I'm pitching for a 7.
7.
Yeah.
What do you think, Pete? I don't think it's nearly that cool. No. I would split the difference and go for a 5.
Yeah, I think I'd be a 5 as well.
I cannot see it being as cool as anything else that we're going to have on this show. No. I just don't.
We won't be left with any room to go to, will we? So no. I think 5 has got to be it, I'm afraid.
I'm afraid so.
You cut me deep, man. You cut me deep. I mean, you're saying it's as cool as the X-Bomber.
Yeah, definitely.
That's low blow, gentlemen. Low blow.
Them's the breaks, man. You bring the
you choose your ship, you pay the price.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. The problem with that, and I mean this goes on to distinctiveness, I guess, is that when you put the Omega class into something like Halo or into EVE Online or X Beyond the Frontier or any of these other video game spaceships or anything like that, it's just another spaceship. It's just it.
Ooh, I'd argue that point with you, though, but that's just me. I mean,
we're on to distinctness. So
we are on to distinctiveness at this point, aren't we? Yeah,
we are.
And recognition.
Yeah, iconicness, as it were.
Well, iconicness is, and I grant you, it kind of suffers from the same problem you have with the X-Bomber here, sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you know what Babylon 5 is, you instantly know what the ship is.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
If you don't know Babylon 5, though, it's a harder
no.
sell.
Yeah.
A little bit there sort of thing.
Yeah.
That being said, though, within the realm of Babylon 5, it's the only thing with a giant spinning section, which I think is cool.
Is it really?
In fact,
because I thought Earth Force 1 was spinning section.
not like that.
Yeah, and I also thought those
The
generations.
big explorer ship.
Yeah, the
had
big
a
explorer
spinning
ship had a
section
big
as well,
rotating
yeah.
section in the middle of it.
Yeah, but those both are circular in shape, which is rotating, much like Babylon 5,
Nevertheless, you said it was the only ship with a rotating section in it.
with a big spinny section. It's the technical term for that bit. It is the big spinny section.
Yeah. Mm. Okay. I mean, distinctiveness in the universe is one thing, but
Oh, but I
distinctiveness
know that's
generally,
not the being on end all.
I mean, come on. Stick it beside the Leonov and say which one of these was in 2010 and see how many people picked the right one.
Side on, you've got to find, but head on, yeah, you're right. You can't tell the difference because it's identical.
This is the bloody same. And if you took the spinning section off, tell the difference between that and the Sulaco.
Oh, that's easy.
No, I think if you took the spinning section off, it would be fairly difficult because it's all
a flying gun.
It's just a flying block with some spikes sticking out. Or look at the UNCF Infinity from the Halo games and tell me that and the blooming, just...
But as you pointed out, you have to take away the spinning section to do that, and it has a spinning section.
Yeah. Okay.
How about your sa? Oh, how about this then? Why don't we repaint Thunderbird 3 grey?
Yeah, and it would still look like Thunderbird 3. And it
I
would
don't
still
know.
be
I think if
very...
you're sticking it to a Saturn 5, it's just another rocket.
Throw us a score, sir.
Go on, give us a score. I think you're working from a logical fallacy there, my friend.
Well, that's never stopped me in the past. I'll go over 5.
On the basis that Babylon 5 isn't that well known, I think a 4.
Yeah, I was going to say a 4. I'd be on
I think
a
it's
4.
better known than Starfleet, mate.
I don't know, to be honest. It's arguable. But, I think more people watch Starfleet in their childhood of a certain generation.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He says exposing his age.
I was going to say I'm not going to get into that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, what did we rate distinctiveness on the X-Bomber?
X-Bomber.
The X-Bomber got 4.
Well, it's definitely getting a 4
9.
I'll give
Definitely
over.
getting a 4.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'll take the 4.
Oh yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, 4. Yeah. Okay, realization. Now,
I think it can score some points here, and I think that because the design is by and large well thought out with science in mind, sort of thing. It's one of the first times they looked at something and tried to understand why everything worked in the way it worked. There's even and this wasn't realised in the thing, but they sat and thought about how do the engines work, how they're meant to point in a counterintuitive way because you have a giant spinning mass providing the gravity. Things like how the fighters will launch, sort of thing. Again, very well realised, and it could be just flung out by gravity in the same way the Cobra Rays were. And for the time, this was 94,
Yeah.
95. This was cutting edge CG at the time, sort of thing. And okay, it's a bit ropey today when you look at something like Battlestar Galactica, but it will still hold its own up against things like the Next Generation and stuff like that. Not the recent remasters and all this, but the Next Generation as it was, and Deep Space Nine. Up there. So I think with realization, I'm going to ask for an 8.
Whoa!
see,
Having just recently rewatched the series, no. Unfortunately, I mean, I remembered it being a lot better than it actually was. Sadly, having rewatched it, because
I've got one word for you, Andy.
Yeah.
Dreadhull.tga.
Oh yeah, that is true. Interestingly enough, the reason that came about was
Hello.
because...
Hello.
What are you talking about?
Dreadhull.tga. Basically, when Lightwave shipped, the 3D program that they used to make Babylon 5, when it shipped, it had someone had painted basically a set of space hull tiles and shipped it free with the software. And remarkably, it's the thing that you can see literally plastering the entire ship.
Yes.
There is next to no text string information on that ship at all, apart from the icon on the side. Even if the picture I'm looking at right now, you can even see where the textures are actually stretching on the ring section in the middle. But that's just me.
I'm going to defer to my friend in computer graphics on this one, I think.
So for realization, I mean, as far as it goes, modelling-wise, I think, it's definitely up there. Definitely a lot of work went in there, and making that thing in Lightwave back in 90 whatever was an achievement. I'll give you that for sure. But the problem is, as we said before, pulling off a CG spaceship is a lot easier in some respects than pulling off a model spaceship.
It is now.
Yeah. Well, you say that, but didn't we inhabit a forum which seemed to be banging these things out from home users pretty much almost consistent? I think there were people with Lightwave who weren't professionals who were making this ship.
Throw us a score, Lee.
What were you asking for, Andy?
I was asking for an 8.
I mean, begrudgingly,
and I'll tell you what. Again, you look at something like what Reese has done with up-resing the ship as if it was to be done for a high-def one sort of thing.
Oh yeah,
the design is still solid. The limitations of the technology at the time.
We are talking realization then, not now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we are, though, because we were talking about Thunderbird 3. Thunderbird 3, we were talking about both the 60s and the 2015.
True, but they have actually done the 2015, and we didn't really account for
then
much.
I can then point to the Lost Tales, which did use the up-resed model.
Well, in which case, what I will do is I will split the difference, and I'll give it a 7. The reason I give it a 7 is because I think to go to 8, you're talking about an almost timeless sort of creation. You're talking about something you cannot pick holes in, and sort of 8s and upwards. You're talking about flawless execution, and it's only a matter of sort of like details at that point. But
I can accept that. That's fair.
7 to me is like it was good for the time, but most kids can probably make this thing in Minecraft.
They probably can as well.
And it's shaping
complete with moving parts.
Exactly, complete with moving parts and redstone for the landing bay at the beginning, at the front.
Yeah.
So
no, look, that's fair, and you're right. I mean, it is. There are more iconic ships even within Babylon 5, and that's fine. But I do think, both for the time and since, I think the design is very solid, and I think, for the time, the way it was realised, sort of thing, it was better than what else was out there at the time.
Yeah, but then when you look at something like the Minbari cruisers, which look like blooming fish, I mean that's a unique design. That's well executed, because that's the kind of shit you couldn't pull off in CG easily.
Well, the Shadow's the obvious one, where if we want to talk about the best realisation, having that kind of moving skin and all that.
Yeah,
that was something you couldn't do. So yeah,
no.
But yeah, I'm happy with 7. I will accept the judgment of the court.
There you go. Right, cool. So, and the totals are.
Hang about. We've got to feed it into the supercomputer here.
Yeah. Give it some coal.
Carry the 6.
There's a 6.
Inverse square. Okay, that comes to 36.
36, putting it at the top of the leaderboard.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that's that then. There you go. Our first Space Dock jury is out there and done, and we have our scoreboard suddenly populated.
We haven't killed each other yet.
Not yet. It was getting close at one point. So at number 1 we have the Omega Destroyer, and at number 2 we have Thunderbird 3, and for this round we say goodbye to the X-Bomber. Goodbye, X-Bomber.
Bye.
So unfair.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, that's that. That was episode 0 of Space Dock Jury. And before we go, let's just direct you towards our newly minted website, which will be spacedock.geekplanetonline.com. And we have a Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/spacedockjury, where you can come and post on there and disagree with us all you like. might not listen to you, but you can give it a go.
I can almost guarantee we won't listen to you. But please feel free to argue the point nonetheless.
Considering our disagreements, at least one of you is going to agree. One of us is going to agree with you. So
Yeah,
this is true.
Yeah. You got a 1 in 3 chance of someone hitting like. Anyway,
Yeah.
there you go. So next time we'll be back for Space Doc Jury episode 1, and we will be presenting the following spaceships. I will be presenting the Fiery Phoenix from Gatchaman, aka Battle of the Planets.
I shall be presenting the Red Dwarf from the series of the same name.
And I shall be doing the Odyssey from Ulysses 31.
Aha! So, Mangaroff.
Oh, yes.
Hooray!
The Eye in Space.
Yeah, well, there you go. And Pete's obviously gearing up a particularly fantastic argument for speed.
Yes.
I think he's going to wrap up size pretty well, though.
I think he's good for size.
It goes so fast that they can't steer around suns. That's how fast it is.
It's so unmaneuverable. But let's not worry about that just yet.
Yes, powder dry, gentlemen. Powder dry.
Okay, so it just leaves me to say thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, that's me. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, thank you, Thingy. What's it? Dubry, Mr. Calculator. And we hope you'll join us again for the next episode of Space Doc Jury. Until then, tatty bye.
Goodbye.
Space Doc Jury is a production by 3 Angry Beards for GeekPlanetOnline.com.